Have you found yourself swatting mosquitoes earlier than usual this year? Are you nagged by stinging insect bites that feel like microscopic syringes? Coming up on Health Watch, mosquitoes. Hello, I'm Terrence Affer Anderson, and this is Health Watch. It would appear that Mother Nature has been having a little fun with us as of late. Temperatures have been fluctuating so that flowers have burst into bloom prematurely, only to have felt the wrath of winter's last gasp. But now that spring has finally sprung, those intemperate days of the recent past have caused something else to burst into being a bit earlier than usual. Mosquitoes. I know that many of you have already felt the sting of a mosquito having a blood meal at your inconvenience, but in addition to being a real nuisance, those pesky insects can also potentially carry some very harmful diseases. So we need to know how to prepare ourselves to become well informed and to know how to best minimize exposure. And to help us on that flight to mosquito freedom, joining us today on Health Watch is an expert on those incessant harbingers of disease, those outdoor party crashers. We're also going to take a look at some of her tools of the trade. I'm welcoming Penny Smelser to today's edition of Health Watch. Penny is an environmental health specialist with the Norfolk Department of Public Health Vector Control Division. Welcome to Health Watch.
Thank you, Terrence.
Now, I know that you brought some show and tell today, but I'd like to have some general discussion first, okay?
Okay.
I'd like to talk about, let's begin talking about the diseases. Well, first, the effect that the early warm days have had on mosquito breeding.
Sure. Probably what we're seeing is a lot of early activity. Usually we don't see a lot of mosquitoes until maybe April or May, and this year we saw stuff in March, early March, even February. So we're seeing a lot of early activity, maybe not so much in alarming numbers, but they're certainly out there a lot earlier than normal.
Is it really all that unusual? Hasn't that happened before, though? Or?
Yeah, you can see this whenever we have a mild winter. It's hard to predict the entire season. It really fluctuates up and down with the weather, but whenever we have a mild winter, you'll have early activity.
Now, I made a quick allusion to diseases earlier because I'm anxious to talk about them because there are, in fact, a lot of different diseases that mosquitoes can carry, mosquito-borne diseases. Let's talk about a few of those. Can you tell us about a few?
Sure. Some of the ones that we're concerned about are West Nile virus, Eastern equine encephalitis, La Crosse encephalitis, there's dengue fever, and, of course, malaria.
Now, West Nile virus is the most prevalent of all of them. So let's start and focus on West Nile virus, and we'll talk about some of the others, just a little bit about some of the others.
Sure.
What are the symptoms of West Nile virus?
Well, there's different stages of West Nile. The most severe affects about 1 in every 150 people. And the symptoms for severe West Nile virus infection would be headache, muscle ache, nausea, vomiting, and then it progresses to severe symptoms like numbness and paralysis, things like
But there's potential for coma if it's serious.
Yes, it can lead to coma and even death.
Wow, that's pretty serious. What about milder symptoms?
Milder symptoms can happen in about 20% of the people that get infected with the virus, and that's more flu-like. It can be also headache, chills, fever, nausea and vomiting.
Well, I feel as though I may have been bitten by a mosquito carrying West Nile, the way I'm feeling today. But let's continue here. Some people with West Nile virus have absolutely no symptoms at all, correct?
Sure. 80% of people that would contract the virus probably would show no signs or symptoms of the disease.
So how does it spread?
Well, it spreads by an infected mosquito, and what happens is that mosquito would bite an infected bird, because that's the reservoir for West Nile virus, and then from there, that infected mosquito would then bite a human being or another animal and pass on the virus to them.
How soon do infected people get sick? How soon do they show symptoms?
It can start to develop anywhere from 3 days after they're bitten to almost up to 2 weeks after a bite. And they can start to show symptoms.
What about treatment? How is it treated?
There's no specific treatment for West Nile. If you have one of the mild cases, it's probably a situation where you're just going to ride it out like you would the flu. For people with severe cases, it might require hospitalization. There's no specific treatment, but they'll go to the hospital and they'll be treated by nursing staff, and they'll get IV fluids and things like that. And afterwards, they might have to go through rehabilitation.
Really? There's another disease that is, again, not as prevalent as West Nile virus, but I learned about it when I started working at the health department. It's triple E, Eastern equine encephalitis. That's a very intimidating name. What can you tell us about Eastern equine?
Right. It's rare in people. There's only a few cases in the U.S. every year. And most of those cases occur around our area in the Atlantic states and the Gulf Coast states. And like the other ones, most people that contract it don't have any signs of illness. But in severe cases, people will develop encephalitis, which is inflammation of the brain. And some symptoms of that would be a sudden headache and fever and chills and muscle ache, and it can lead to seizures and coma.
Well, that's a good thing. It's fairly rare versus West Nile virus.
Absolutely. It's one of the most serious mosquito-borne diseases because it has a high mortality rate of almost 33% of the people who...
33%?
Right. And of those people, the people that do recover can have long-term significant brain damage.
I see. Now there's another one, another type of encephalitis that sounds like a sport or a city in Wisconsin. That's La Crosse encephalitis. What can you tell us about that?
La Crosse encephalitis, it is found more in Midwestern states, also in our state.
That's why the name La Crosse.
Right, correct.
Yeah, okay.
It's found also in our state, more out into the western region of the state. Like the other ones, a lot of people who contract the virus have no signs of illness, but if they do have symptoms, it's fever, headache, nausea, vomiting. It can also cause neurological problems. One of the trademarks of La Crosse is that it tends to only affect children under the age of 16.
Really? The last one, I mean, there's a group that we can talk about, and I would have folks go to the CDC website and Google mosquito-borne diseases. But the last one I want to talk about is malaria. Now, malaria is one that you don't hear too much about in the U.S. nowadays, but what can you tell us about malaria?
Right, it's probably the most well-known mosquito-borne disease, but maybe not so much in the U.S. Typically, cases in the U.S. are from people that have traveled outside the country, and then they bring it home with them, and then they fall ill. But recently, actually in 2002, we had 2 teenagers up in Loudoun County, Virginia, that contracted malaria from the native mosquito population. But around the world, there's probably about 215 million cases each year, and of those, about 650,000 people will die from malaria. And most of those cases, of course, are in Africa. About 90% of those are in Africa. And generally, malaria it's flu-like symptoms with chills and fever and vomiting. And most people, it's treatable. Most people are not able to reach treatment, and then they die from the complications of malaria.
Let me ask you something, and again, I tend to go off script a lot when I do this show, but I want to ask you something. The work that you do must be really rather fascinating because they're different, other than just different types of mosquito-borne diseases, they're different types of mosquitoes. Can you just give us a little bit of insight about the various types of mosquitoes, and maybe even focus on what's prevalent in this area?
Sure. You know, a lot of people think a mosquito is a mosquito, but we have about 25 to 30 different species just in our area that we see on
Just in this area
Just in
alone?
our area. So, you know, there's thousands of different species throughout the world, but just in our area we have 25 to 30 that we see on a regular basis. In an urban setting like Norfolk, we usually see like Aedes albopictus or the Asian tiger mosquitoes. Those are the most pesky biters that people have in their yards. We have things like Culex. We have the Anopheles mosquitoes that are capable of carrying malaria.
Was that the type that those 2 people
Yes.
in Loudoun County?
Yes,
Okay.
from the Anopheles mosquito.
And the Asian tiger mosquito, I'm not going to try and pronounce the scientific name, but the Asian tiger mosquito, that's the one, again, that's most prevalent in the area, and most people have probably seen that. Is that the one that has like stripes?
Yeah.
That's why I call it the tiger mosquito.
Sure, it's easy to recognize. It's got black and white stripes, it's small, and it likes to breed in things that people have in their yards.
When we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit about how people can stop mosquito breeding and how they can protect themselves from mosquito bites. We've covered quite a bit of information today, and I think we want to take a break now so that we can also set up for the, you brought some tools to show us today, mosquito traps that I think our viewers will find particularly interesting. So don't go anywhere. Okay. If you do, you might get bitten by a mosquito. I have that kind of relationship with them, you see. Do please stay with us for the rest of the show. We're going to take a bit of a break now. We've taken a look at mosquito-borne illnesses, and in just a few moments we're going to explore what you can do to prevent mosquito breeding on your property, as well as how you can protect yourself, and as well as what the Vector Control Division does to stop mosquito breeding. So do please stick around with us. We're going to take a break, and when we come back from the break, we're going to take a look at the tools of Penny's trade, and we'll see you on the other side of the break.
So here are the keys.
Congratulations, it's officially yours.
I'm sure you'll have many happy years here. Except for you, because you'll be gone 3 years from now, struck down by the same disease that got your father. So you won't be around for them. And sadly, it could have been detected early with a simple test, but you didn't have it. Okay, who wants to check out the backyard?
For a list of tests every man should have, go to ahrq.gov.
So let's see what you can do to stop mosquitoes from breeding on your property. My guest today is Penny Smelser, an environmental health specialist in the Norfolk Department of Public Health Vector Control Division. So Penny, what can our viewers do to stem the tide of mosquitoes breeding on their property?
Sure. I know people have heard it a million times, but it's true. The best thing to do is eliminate standing water on your property. So if you go out in your yard and you look and you find buckets, tires, wheelbarrows, flower pots, anything that can hold water, whether it's something big or something small, if you eliminate it, you're going to eliminate the mosquito breeding.
And what can they do to stop themselves from being bitten by mosquitoes? Is that an impossibility, or?
It might feel that way.
Yeah, they're so ubiquitous, it seems.
Right. So, you know, if you're going to be in a place where there's mosquitoes, the best thing to do is to wear clothes that are long, light, and loose. You want to cover up your skin, and mosquitoes are attracted to dark colors, so you want to wear something light. And so be covered up and wear something light. You want to avoid having them get into your house, so you want to make sure all the screens on your doors and windows are secure.
That sounds like stopping a burglar, huh?
Yeah, you know, you don't want them to be in your house while you're sleeping.
They're breaking to steal your blood.
Absolutely. It's important, you know, if you're going to be out there, you might want to wear repellent. Use repellents that have DEET in them. And, you know, check the label and try to use the right amount for the activity you're doing outside, for the length of time you'll be outside. You don't want to use something that has more than 50% DEET. And if you have children, you probably don't want to use anything with more than 30% DEET.
I see. Now, what does Vector Control do? You mentioned eliminating standing water. I know that's a big part of what you guys do when it comes to stopping mosquito breeding.
Right. Our main focus is eliminating mosquitoes as larvae, where, you know, in the water that they breed. So what we do is we focus on tidal ditches, we focus on roadside ditches. Some other things that grab our attention are junkyards, tire piles, storm drains, and of course, you know, the big thing here in Norfolk is just man-made containers, artificial containers that you find in people's yards.
I also recall from being a very little kid, folks coming into the neighborhood and spraying for mosquitoes. And there's all kinds of talk about mosquito spraying. What can you tell us about the safety and the effectiveness of mosquito spraying?
Sure. Here in Norfolk, we use truck-mounted ultra-low volume sprayers. And
that already sounds good.
Yeah, I think the key word there is ultra-low volume. So, you know, we're putting out a very minute amount of chemicals. So it's safe for people and it's safe for pets and other non-target organisms. The most effective way, of course, is the source reduction and eliminating mosquito larvae. So, you know, attacking the adults is probably our last line of defense. But it does work, and it is effective if you're able to get the mosquitoes as they're out flying around. So we go out in the evenings when mosquitoes are at their most active.
And at some point in your job, you must feel kind of like a a private detective or something, because you do surveillance, right? I know
Yes.
that's stretching it a bit, but tell us about exactly what surveillance is. What does that mean?
A really important part of any mosquito control program is doing surveillance so that you know what you're looking for and you know what you have out there, so you know how to attack it. And so we base all of our fogging operations on our surveillance so that we know where the problem is and we know where to focus all our efforts.
Okay, and now let's get to the show and tell here.
Sure.
You bought three different mosquito traps, and this is the first one here. Why don't you tell us what that is, and then we'll get to the other two in just a sec.
Okay, this is called a CDC light trap.
Okay.
And this is our basic trap that we use more than any of the others. And so this one has two kind of attractants to it. And the first one, of course,
Something
is
to attract the mosquito.
Yeah, it's in the name right there. It's light. It's got a little light on it.
Okay.
And the second one is CO2. So what we do is we put dry ice in this little cooler.
All right.
And we hang this from the tree about eye level. We hang this right next to it, about right there. And so then as this sits out overnight, the dry ice in here sublimates and becomes carbon dioxide. So the
Okay.
mosquitoes, they're attracted to the light, and they're also attracted to the CO2 because they think there's something living, breathing there, exhaling. So
It's
they
pretty ingenious.
Yes.
Simple but ingenious.
So this is hooked up to a battery, which turns the fan, which draws them down to the net. So we'll come out the next day, grab the net, take them in, and we have our catch for the day.
How many can you catch for something like that? I mean, what's the most you've ever seen?
I've been doing this about 10 years, and I've had traps that have, 1,000, 2,000.
Really?
Yeah, that's rare for, in Norfolk, but in Norfolk we can get ones in the hundreds,
Now, when you get 1,000 mosquitoes, you have to count each and every one of them? You don't do that. You just
You can.
ballpark it, right?
You can. There have been times where I've had, last year I had a trap that had 800, and I sat there and I counted every single one.
Now, I guess in counting, though, do you look at the types?
Yeah,
type
as
of
you're going
mosquito?
through them, you are you're counting and you're identifying down the species.
And you have different types of species
Yes.
that you catch in a single trap. The last question about this is, are there particular kinds of trees that you hang this on?
No, all you really want is something to be at eye level. You don't want to put it near another light source that will compete with this one.
I see.
And we, as mosquito control people, we try to put it in places where it doesn't draw attention.
Right.
We don't want anyone vandalizing our traps.
That's a little conspicuous. What's
Yeah.
that with the hat on? Okay, let's take a look at
Okay.
another trap here. Let's go with this one.
Okay, so
Looks like you're about to give a pet a bath or something.
the light trap, it catches a variety of things. It catches just about anything that is looking to get a blood meal. Now this one is called a gravid trap, and this one's designed to catch females that have already taken a blood meal and now they're looking to lay their eggs.
Okay.
So what we do is we take this pan and we fill it up about 1 inch of water, and the water is not just any kind of water, it's specially fermented for this kind of trap. And how we make it is we take a big trash can,
Right.
we fill it with, like a square of straw,
Okay.
fill it with water, and then we leave it sitting out in the sun for about a week.
Really?
Yeah, and it smells terrible.
Which attracts the mosquitoes.
Which is very attracted for a certain species of mosquitoes, a certain genus, the Culex genus.
Okay.
Which is a good thing because that's our main carrier of West Nile virus in our area, so we're focused on them, trying to trap them. So what happens is the female mosquito, she sees this water source, she flies in to lay her eggs, and then she is sucked up through this tube and ends up in the net, because this is also run off of a battery.
So there's a suction.
Yeah, there's a suction down here, so they fly in looking to lay their eggs and they get caught up in the trap.
I see. Does it attract? You mentioned a particular genus. What about particular gender? Females or well, you said females.
Right? Yeah. This will be after female mosquitoes.
Okay. Does it ever catch any confused males?
Oh yeah, because there's lots of ladies are flying around, so they want to be in there too. But yeah, we also catch some male mosquitoes, but certainly not in the numbers that you catch female mosquitoes.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
Okay.
This is a monstrosity. Should I turn it around so that folks can read what it says?
Sure. Now this is one of the more newer models of traps that we've had in recent years. And it's called a BG Sentinel trap, and this one is specifically designed to catch those Asian tiger mosquitoes that we talked about.
Okay.
So what it does is you just set it on the ground, It's hooked up to a battery because it also has a fan running. And the special thing about this is the lure that you use to attract the mosquitoes. And I'll let you give a whiff of it.
Oh, really?
Because it's something special. So.
Yeah, it's different.
So the special thing about the lure for this trap is that it's designed to mimic human sweat.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So it has some of the same.
It made me want to buzz like a mosquito.
It has some of the same chemicals that you would have on your skin that the mosquitoes are attracted to.
I see.
So as I mentioned earlier, the mosquitoes are attracted to dark colors. So it's all white except for this dark cup up here. This is where the mosquitoes are sucked into the net.
Out.
And this thing works amazingly well.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. But, you put this near a good tire pile or junkyard, and you'll have hundreds and hundreds of those Asian tiger mosquitoes.
Hundreds and hundreds?
Yes.
Now, the Asian tiger, what is the name of it again, the scientific name?
Aedes albopictus.
Okay, Asian tiger.
Right.
And the other one is what? How do you pronounce it? Culex?
Culex.
Culex. Mm-hmm. I know it began with a Q. With all of this talk about blood meals and so forth, I want to go and see the movie Twilight. I've never seen another single one of those movies. So is there anything else you could tell us about this? I want to make sure that we get some contact information. Let's do that now, and then I may have another question or two for you, okay? How can folks get in touch with you if they have some questions about
Sure. If people have concerns, if they have questions, if they're having a mosquito problem at their home, the best thing to do is call our office. Mm-hmm. Our phone number is 757-683-2840. Mm-hmm. And if people have concerns about fogging, if they'd like to know where we're fogging that evening, we have a mosquito fogging hotline as well, and that number is 757-683-2914.
I am curious. You guys are professionals, but there are always folks in the community that want to venture out and do things on their own. Have you ever heard of anyone trying to not just kill mosquitoes but trap them? Have you heard of any? I mean, that would be a bit far-fetched, but anything is possible nowadays.
Yeah, I would say, trying to control mosquitoes through trapping is not very effective. In years past, they had things called like mosquito magnets. They were commercial.
Mosquito bandits?
Magnets.
Magnets.
They were
really?
A commercial project that I think you hooked up a propane tank and it put out CO2, and then you're supposed to set up in your yard and it was supposed to trap mosquitoes for you. And I think those fell out of favor because people found that it wasn't very effective, because if you're not getting to the source, to where they're coming from, you're really not dealing with the problem.
And the source of, again, is going to be that
standing water.
Standing water. Wow. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, I made a reference to the fact that when I was a little kid, I remember the mosquito trucks going around. And we talked briefly about the safety of mosquito spraying, because it's the, what do you call it, low volume spray?
Right.
Yeah. When you hear complaints from folks, what kind of complaints? If you could respond to the typical complaint, if you could respond now to our viewers to the typical complaint that you have gotten about mosquito fogging, what would you say? What would you tell them?
People do call us concerned about the safety of the chemicals we use. And the chemicals we use, where they're regulated by the EPA, they've gone through lots of trials. And like I said, it's such a very, very small percentage of active ingredient in the spray that's going out there. A lot of it is kind of blown out, and it doesn't even have a chance to really settle. So you don't have to worry about residuals or any kind of toxins, in your yard or on your home or things like that. And it's been found to not be toxic to people or pets or things like that. Now, there may be a small percentage of the population that is sensitive to it, and if they have those issues, they can call us and let us know, and we have a list of people that we let them know when we're coming in their neighborhood.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
so they've already called and let you know.
Yeah, if you prefer not to have your area sprayed. Now, we won't eliminate your whole neighborhood, because your neighbors might have a different opinion than you do.
Certainly.
But we will let you know when we're going to be in your neighborhood, so that if you choose to stay inside, and we avoid spraying directly at your property.
I see. Why did you get into this work? What is it about? I know you, as an environmental health specialist, you probably had broad interests, but you speak with this with a bit of passion. You find it fascinating and curious. What is it that drives you about this work?
It's ever changing. You know, the mosquito populations, you have different species coming in, you have different diseases that crop up in places, but it's just an ever-evolving field. And you know, I started as an intern working at a mosquito control commission, and then when I left college, you know, position opened up, so I came and worked for Norfolk, and it's that
was just last year, right?
Yes.
When you graduated from college. I have a future in politics, by the way. Go ahead.
But it's just, you know, it's a fascinating field because you're seeing species you've never seen before. Even after doing it for 10, 15, 20 years, you still have the chance to see something that you've never seen before.
Is it something that you have never seen before, or something that is new to the, you know, to the
For the most part, stuff that you've personally never seen before, but there are situations where there's no record of, say, seeing this species in Virginia, you know, and you have that little badge of honor of finding things that have never been found before. But, you know,
you sound like you have some experience doing that.
I've seen a few things that are maybe a bit abnormal for this area. But, you know, even trapping year after year after year, you see changes and you see habitats change, and, you know, and even on the pesticide and the chemical side, you see new products coming out, and it's exciting to see how we have new ways to control and eliminate mosquitoes.
Give us just one instance that you've seen, like something like, have you seen, surely you must have seen incidences of West Nile in your tenure at the health department.
Sure, it's somewhat rare, I guess you could say.
West Nile is rare?
Yeah,
okay.
We certainly have, you know, a few cases in our state per year, and we've had cases of Triple E in our state in the past about 10 years or so. I apologize, what was the question?
Well, West Nile, was that more prevalent than, because it's the most prevalent disease, did it occur more recently than the incidence of Triple E that we've had? The incidence of Triple E was just last year or something? What was that?
We had a case, it was several years ago. We do have, West Nile, we had several cases actually in Northern Virginia last year, and one of my colleagues who works for the Fairfax County Health Department Mosquito Control contracted West Nile.
Oh, really?
Yes. Oh, and he's had quite a difficult time recovering, so we've seen firsthand the effect that, you know, it can have on a person.
Well, that's why you're here, to protect all of us and
exactly.
yourself from that.
You know, our number one goal is to protect people from mosquito-borne disease, and the secondary goal is for people to be able to enjoy their time outdoors.
Okay, well, we want to give you a number one more time before you go, and I want to thank you so very much for coming on. And that number again is 757-683-2840.
Yes.
757-683-2840. Penny, I want to thank you so very much for coming on board. This has been interesting, as I knew it would be. Thank you so very much, and I'll see you back at the office. Well, you're working in another location, so sometime I'll see you. So.
Thank you, Terrence.
Thank you, my dear. I want to thank you for joining us on this edition of Health Watch. Again, my name is Terrence Afrie Anderson. If you want to see previous editions of Health Watch, you can go online at www.norfolk.gov. Again, that's www.norfolk.gov. If you'd like to drop me a line, you can email me at terrence.affer-anderson@vdh.virginia, Virginia is spelled out, .gov. Please also feel free to give me a call at 757-683-8836. Again, that's 757-683-8836. For the Norfolk Department of Public Health, I'm Terrence Afrie Anderson, and this has been Health Watch.